Is it Lauren? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, it's good to meet you. What made you jump on my, I guess, Connection Live session?
We signed up for the Greater Europe Mission newsletter like a year ago because I was interested in college actually being a part of the program. So it's kind of been something that has already been an interest of mine. So I thought
Awesome.
I'd join and hear a little bit more.
Sweet. Yeah. So since this is going to be captured and kind of sent out, I'm going to go ahead and act like you might not know anything, although you've signed up some, and then I'd love to answer any questions you have just until then, if that's okay with you. Sweet. So for all who don't know me, my name is Michael Wells. I'm the Texas Regional Mobilizer for Greater Europe Mission. My passion is to recruit people to go, to give, and to pray. Right now, I have a major emphasis on our church engagement team, so specifically working with the churches that we have connections with and creating new ones. And so that takes up most of my time. But I do also get the joys of participating in all these missions fairs in Texas. So it's been awesome. So yeah, I'll share this link, but it's events.gemissions.org/info. This is kind of what we've created in response to the obvious of us having to do our booth and things online. And so a lot of our main paperwork is going to be here if you want to see it, and you don't have to have a physical copy. If you want, we will send you a mailed packet, so you can click there and do that. But I'll just go ahead and click through these. So we'll start with who is Jim here. So Jim is a 71-year-old organization, and it's passionate about making disciples and growing God's church in Europe to the rest of the world. Everything Jim does points that way. So our expectation is if you're using your gifts and passions, that it would be for the kingdom to make disciples and grow God's church. And so we do that as best as we can. Europe, why Europe? This is a huge question we have often. Europe is less than 2% evangelical Christian, which makes it unreached. And what's crazy is Europe is influential. So it's influential in our politics and in our fashion, all kinds of different ways. It's about 50 years ahead of us in a lot of those categories. And so it's very influential to the US and then to the rest of the world. The other reality is it's connected. So it has land bridges to some of these locations that we don't have access to. So we have the 1040 window is flooding into Europe right now. And so we have the ability to minister to people in the 1040 window openly in Europe. And so Europe we think is a very critical and strategic place to do mission. So Jim, currently we have about 400 workers in the field, about 20, I think 8 is the last number I heard, countries. We have about 1,200 churches who help support us and about 17,000 financial partners. Jim's passionate about career-long missions all the way to mission teams. And so we do that and everything in between. We have our GEM teams is what we call it. It's our 1 to 2, maybe 3-week trips. We have our short-term trips/internships. Those are 1 to 12 months. Those can be for gap years. They can be for internships, all kinds of stuff we run through there. We also have our mid-term placement, which is 2 to 3. Sometimes this fits within a window that someone has available time. Others use it as a stepping stone to the long-term, to career-long. And so we have that. And then we have our long-term, which is 3 years to career and longer. So there's that. So GEM is, we did a big initiative a few years ago where we tried to pioneer a lot of new locations, and God used it, but we have since felt the calling to kind of regroup in order to maybe do that again a little more strategically. And so we have what we call our focus cities. Currently they're here in Birmingham, Frankfurt, and Athens. We're looking to expand those in the next year or two. But those are kind of our major places of influence that we have a lot of on-the-ground partnerships, that we have a lot of good team synergy, where we like to send people to be a part of a team and grow out from there. And so we split our regions up, as you can see here, accordingly. And that's Jem there. One of the things I definitely want to bring up is this 10:2. So the 10:2 project is off of the verse Luke 10:2. The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore, pray earnestly to the Lord of the harvest to send more laborers into the harvest field. Jim has been praying that at 10:02 every morning for years, and so that's what created this program's name, the 10:2 project. The goal of it is, like I said, it's specifically for college students, and it's a summer-long 10-week trip. So you get to be launched to, last year it was supposed to be all these locations here. I think this is the most updated one. Yeah, so there was one location that we can't do because they're, or Normandy, I believe is it actually. This summer we won't have that because the mission family will be on home ministry assignment. So other than that, we do this awesome opportunity where everyone gathers together and we train together, and then you get launched out to all your locations. And then from there, after you're done with your amazing experience with our missionaries on the ground, we gather everyone back up at our annual conference. Our annual conference is something we love. It's where we get to hear what God's done in our mission, where we get to hear from our leadership of where we see the Lord's going with our mission, and then also just time to break bread and be friends. And so what's great for the 10:2 participants is that they get access to all of our missionaries in one place. They get to mix and mingle with them. They get to have lunch. They get to hear exactly what's going on the ground live versus through the grapevine. And so it's an amazing opportunity for college students. This last summer, we had to pivot as everyone else did, and we did what we called 10:2 Breathe. It was an online version of 10:2 where we still did spiritual formation, where we trained, where we did discipleship, where we did all kinds of small groups and different things, and it was amazing. And so this summer, we're planning on doing it again. And so if you're interested, please inquire on 10:2project.org. Yeah, so those are the big things. If you have questions or want more information, like I said, come to this URL here. We'll make sure that you can have all of this. And then if you want to inquire, not necessarily 10:2, you can go to gemission.org and inquire there. So Lauren, do you have any questions that I maybe didn't answer?
Is there like a particular year to where most kids tend to go? Is there like a year requirement?
No, so we've had people that are coming into college all the way to people leaving college. So it's catered to all of them. We do have student leadership. So there are times that some of our older crowd at times will be leaders, but other than that, yeah, there's no specific time that's better than the other.
And then are you able to like pick where you want to go, or are you assigned like from?
Yeah, it's kind of a hybrid of the two. It's you know, you put your order of preference. So there's some locations like like there's an orphanage that a lady runs, and she's a single lady. So guys aren't allowed to go to there just because of that reality. So there are different circumstances that might not allow for you to be at said location, but yeah, you definitely you create your priority, and then we try and do our best to fit you in.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, totally. Sweet. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other things I can add to this. Yeah, I think what Baylor's doing with having all these missions organizations, you've heard from a lot of people. So just hear this from me and hear this from Jem, is we're passionate about people making disciples and growing God's church. And we think Europe is a very strategic place, but I challenge everyone who's watching this to pursue it, to maybe give a summer away. If it's with Jem, I'm stoked about it. If it's with a team or World Venture or with SIM or all these different organizations that are with us, hey, we want you there. We want you growing. We want God's church to be growing, and we want disciples being made. So plan on that. Try and make a plan to give one summer away. I know internships and school and work and all those things can be a temptation and sometimes necessary even, but we feel that it's important. We feel that it will make and shape you to be a better disciple, honestly. Yeah. Awesome. I'll go ahead and walk through a few of these other things while we're here. Lauren, are you considering long-term mission, or what is your goal with missions?
I was considering short term, so if I end up taking like a gap semester or like one of the summer missions or internship, I don't think I would be able to do long term right now.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, we do have gap year programs. And so one of our kind of premier programs is under a ministry called UK USA. That's actually a lot of the locations. I'll pull this up again, the 10-2 project. A lot of Teesside, all of that area, and a few others are connected with our UK USA ministry. And what that does is the gap year program specifically, you become a part of a church. You become a pastor or minister pretty much of one of the churches, whether you're in charge of youth or students or whatever, or kids, and you work alongside that church while also working with UK USA, and you spend that whole summer creating relationships, or a whole year. And then in the summers is when a lot of teams come and help support you, right? And so what's pretty cool is during the year in the UK, or at least in England, you could, as a minister, just show up to a school and say, hey, can I fill in some time? And they actually will let you just come into their school and talk about things and programs that you have. And there's total access in that way. And so it's pretty neat that you get opportunities like that. And then in the summers, we use a lot of schools and other churches, locations to do sports camps. And that's where we see kids come together and play soccer / football, American football, all kinds of stuff, and just play together. And that's where the summer teams come in and host those Camp of Champions is what we call them. And they engage with students each week and kids and work sports while also teaching them the gospel. So that's a great gap year program. And then we have all different kinds, and our short-term service director will help you with that. So let's see. Career missions. I'll reach into this just a little bit to kind of give you and everyone who's watching this scope of what GEM does. Like I said, GEM tries to leverage the giftings and passions of the individual for the gospel. And so ours is pretty broad. We have refugee ministries right now. The largest refugee camp in Europe was burned down actually a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. And it's just a terrible situation. And so we have people on the ground that you can be praying for. So the camp was called Moria, and on the island of Lesbos, Greece. If you want to look that up, you can see some crazy stories about it. It's been on the news a lot, so we're hoping that God would use that to help in that situation. But what's kind of the crazy thing is we've spent years there developing disciples on the island and people. And right now, people are homeless. They're living on the side of the streets, behind buildings. They're trying to do their best to do temporary shelters and tents and things, but they can only keep up when the second biggest city was the refugee camp on that island. It's kind of crazy to think about. And so our disciples that we've created are handing out food and water and shelter in the name of Jesus now. And it's really cool to see Muslim background believers reaching Muslims as they're in a time of crisis. So be praying for that. But refugee ministry, we have music, arts, and drama. We have social justice and anti-trafficking, community development, discipleship and evangelism, construction, technology, education, prayer, marketplace, sports ministries, administration, young adults, and church planning. Another one of these that kind of falls under a few of these is we have a few church camps that we have some property in Arcata, Spain, and as well as the French Alps. So we have a couple of camps there. And so we do our best to partner with existing ministries on the ground and leverage your giftings and passions for making disciples and growing God's church. And then the last is the challenge. Begin your journey. So we are passionate about you getting a part of missions. All Christians are called to it. We have the places that I recruit for is people to go, to give, and to pray. And we believe, or at least I believe, that you should have a master and major in one of them and minor in the other two. So a lot of our people on the ground are majoring in going, and the reason they can go is because people are majoring in giving and praying, if that makes sense. And so the people that are praying have something to pray for because people have majored in going and giving. And so we feel that you should engage in some capacity as a Christian. Actually, we know you should. You're called to it. And so we have gym teams, like I said, 1 to 2 weeks. Our base camp, this is a new program that we're creating out of a spinoff from our online program we had this last summer. Some of you have weddings that you're part of. You'll have internships that are required, but we're trying to create this base camp, which allows you to do a summer program with us virtually. And so there's that. We have the 10-2 project. Our journeys are 18 plus, and they're 1 to 12 months. So that, Lauren, that sounds like probably the category you'd fall in. And then our midterm and long-term is 2+ years. Know that the harvest is plentiful and the laborers are few. So we need you. We need you to be a part of missions. We need you to be part of God's story that he's writing in Europe. And we're convinced that's going to be to the rest of the world. So if you're interested, go to gemission.org. You can scan that barcode or inquire online. So yeah, Lauren, do you have any more questions?
I don't.
Sweet. Well, thanks so much for joining me. I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, it was a blessing talking to you. And have you inquired yet, Lauren?
I submitted like a request like for a couple different sites, but I haven't like heard back on any information on how
Okay.
like to proceed. So
When did you do that?
Like 4 days ago.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look you up, make sure that you're processed through. Right now we have, you know, a few events that we're at, and so this is our influx season, so we do our best to categorize.
I submitted it through the main site. I guess that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, I'll look you up, and yeah, and we can get you situated.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, and thanks everyone who's watched. Y'all have a good one.